complicated isn't necessarily good. In fact, complicated is often a bad thing, especially when it comes to marketing automation. What I want to talk to you about today is the importance of trying to keep things simple. This is something to really drill home because I have worked with a few businesses and I've been involved in a few projects where basically once marketing automation is implemented within the business, there's this belief that, hey, we've got this super powerful tool set, we can basically do whatever we want, the sky's the limits. Now let's start building these crazy, overcomplicated systems of automations and processes and all these things that sound really good on paper, but there's almost always a snag, and that snag is that unless you're very, very diligent in setting it up, unless you test everything absolutely thoroughly, and unless you really know what you're doing with the platform, you're probably building something that's too complex for your needs, and there's a big risk that things will go wrong. So, long story short, what I want to encourage you to do is if you are using marketing automation, and if you've got a B2B business that is focused on lead generation, then you really should be considering it. Think about how you can simplify what you're doing. Instead of having one massive automation that does everything for you, have a series of smaller automations so that if something does go wrong, it's easier to identify the issue. It's easier to basically isolate it and fix it. And also just have a think about whether you actually need to automate everything you are thinking of automating. Sometimes it is just better to do things the old-fashioned way and pick up the phone and talk to someone, or send them an email manually and put that in your CRM, depending on exactly what you're doing. Obviously, your mileage may vary and you may have very good reasons to complicate things, but if you are going to go down that path of saying, right, I want a really complicated, sequence of diagrams and automations that sort of look like something out of a MCS-ish sketch, then maybe you really do need to think about how you actually do the implementation of that. Don't just go out there and build it. Really sit down and plan everything out. Make sure that everything works on paper. Then make sure that you build it properly. Then make sure that you test it properly. And finally, consider getting someone who really knows what they're doing to check it out for you. It will probably save you a lot of hassle in the long run. So if you're not sure if your marketing automation sequences are too complicated, and perhaps they might actually be breaking and not working the way you think they are, send me a message, flick me an email on info@samfrost.co.nz. I can take a look and we can review what you've got in place and see how it could be improved.